Benita. I decided to make a quick little video while I'm sitting in line waiting to pick up sweetie girl from school. First of all, I want to say good afternoon to everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. My day is going good. I've had an interesting week altogether. I had a chance to get out and do some things, and so that was a good thing. Many of you know that I am a brain tumor survivor of 2 different types of brain tumors, and it's been an 11-year journey, and some of you have been on that journey with me from the very beginning. And I wanted to just say thank you for being on that journey with me. It has not been an easy journey at all. As a matter of fact, I'm tired. I am really, really tired. I'm tired emotionally. I'm tired mentally, physically sometimes, but more emotionally and mentally fatigued. And sometimes spiritually, because it takes a lot of faith to walk out this walk for this amount of time. And you're constantly in a position where your only hope is to just keep trusting God, keep believing, keep praying, keep trusting, keep believing, no matter what you hear, no matter what they see, what they find, what they tell you. Your only solace is to keep believing and keep hoping and praying for God's continued grace. I think with me, my biggest frustration is that, well, not my frustration. Maybe my frustration. I'll tell you why my frustration. One of the things that frustrate me is people will look at me and don't really believe that I'm actually going through what I'm going through, because they say you don't look like what you've been through. No, honey, I'm still going through it. As a matter of fact, today I had to have my 3-month checkup. I was having annual checkups, but because the tumor has now wrapped itself around one of the carotid arteries, now I have to be monitored more closely and more frequently, every 3 months. But today she moved it to 8 weeks. So I went today, I go back 8 weeks. So that we're really watching it. Because if anything shifts, for me, that means it could throw me into a stroke. And those of you that have been with me from the beginning, that's how I started out. That's how they initially found the tumors, because I was having strokes and we couldn't figure out why, and then they found the tumor. So it's difficult for me to keep trying to explain like what's really happening, because to hear me say it, but then you look at me and you're like, no way, but it's a real thing. I was talking to my neurologist, nurse practitioner today, and she said, you have a lot going on in your brain at one time. And I said, yeah, I know. I told her I was so desperate one time, I researched brain transplant. You can transplant just about any organ in the body except for the brain. You can't transplant the brain. And so we laughed a little bit. And she said, but I can see why you would go to that level of desperation. She said, because this is a phenomenon we're looking at here. She said, because I look at you and I look at what I'm looking at in your file and in the computer and your records. She says, it's a phenomenon basically. And I know because I've walked this walk for the past 11 years, and doesn't get easier with time, because with time I get older, and sometimes the older you get, the longer it takes to heal or what have you. But blessed be God, I eat right and I take care of my body. So that's probably one of the main things that's keeping me as well as can be, if I want to use that. The frustrating part is that when I do try to explain what I'm going through, it's difficult for, I find people don't really believe me, because they are judging by the way I look, how I carry myself. And even today, I'm like, I told my doctor, I'm like, I don't know what people, I'm not going to be unkept, because if I go down that rabbit hole, then that rabbit hole is going to lead me to a dark place. Been there, done that. It's hard to come back from that dark place. So I do what I have to do to keep my spirits up. That means taking care of myself. That means looking like Benita, not like somebody else, but like Benita, And so I want to, there's so much I want to share, but I understand that even with my sharing as much as I do, some of it is hard to understand because it's hard for me to understand. As much as my doctors explain it to me, it's hard for me to understand. And also it's not hard for them to understand, is that they scratch their heads too. And they understand, but it's been a long journey. And today I'm just tired. Tired. Today I'm just tired. So the good news is that the tumor is still stable. However, the position of it is the danger that I'm in. The position of it. If it moves and touches that carotid artery, that means probably an instant stroke for me. So I have to do everything I can to keep my stress down. I have to eat right, keep my weight down. In fact, my doctor told me today, he said, you're doing so well with keeping your weight down, we may be able to start taking you off one of those medication for the other type of brain tumor that I have. So thank God for that. So when people say, oh, you're losing too much weight, they don't understand that there's a method to my madness, and there are certain things that I have to do in order to keep certain things in my life, regulated. I've never been diabetic, so it's not that. It has more to do with the other type of brain tumor that I had. So while I was sitting in line, I just wanted to make a quick video. I may do a part 2 if this one's running a little long. So the next thing we have to do, we have to have the spinal fluid, my spinal fluid measured, make sure it's not too high. That's the other type of brain tumor I have, where the spinal fluid gets too high, and then it builds up pressure behind my eyes and stuff like that. I'll be right back. Okay, and so I have to have a spinal tap done so they can measure spinal fluid. I hate those things because they have to put this long needle in your spine and draw your spinal fluid out and measure it and all that good stuff. So that's what I have to do next. I try to I try to keep my spirits up, not that I feel like I have to put on airs for anyone, but I try to keep my own spirits up, because in doing so, it helps me. But there are days like today that I'm just tired, and like I said, mentally and emotionally outweighs my physical tiredness. So it's hard for me because I'm so used to being, on top of my game. I'm so used to being a go-getter. I'm so used to being, in charge of my stuff, on top of everything, handling everything. But 11 years is a long time. It's a long time to be on this journey, but I'm thankful. I'm thankful now. Don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm not thankful, because I've seen death too many times on this journey, and God has kept me. And I believe anytime God keeps a person, and He causes death to pass over them or to stand back, it's for His purpose. It's for His glory. And so I don't snark at that too much, but 11 years is a long time. Many people have had different miracles. I've heard tales of people saying, oh, they know somebody had a brain tumor, it dried up, it disappeared. We each have our own path already charted out for us, and one person's path may not be the next person's path. And so what God did for that person, He may not have planned for this person. And what He did for me, He may not have planned for somebody else. So I don't get in my head about when people say, oh, I know such and such, they had a brain tumor and God dried it up and it disappeared and this, that, and the third, and I'm going to pray the same prayer for you. But it doesn't happen, So, but God has kept me in other ways, having a stroke in my sleep, He sends an angel to waken me, hemorrhaging while I'm going to sleep, He awakens me. It's been too many ways I could name that I saw His hand, and miracles, so I never look at someone else or hear about someone else and say, well, God, why can't you do that for me? Because what's for that person is for that person, and what's for me is for me. And it's hard sometimes for me to even tell people that, because a lot of times when people are talking and I want to say, well, that's good for that person, but that might not be for me. My charge may be to walk this out so that there is a witness in the earth that even if God does not dry this up, even if God does not completely take this away, He is still the God of miracles, signs, and wonders. He is still the God that heals. He is still the God that is present. He is still God, and God alone. It doesn't matter what the outcome looks like, but He is still God. So what God does for someone else, that may not have anything to do with me. And the ways He has kept me, somebody else probably couldn't go through 11 years of this. So I don't get into a tizzy when I hear stories like that. And when I try to explain that, I think sometimes people get offended, almost as if I'm saying, oh, I don't need you to pray for me to have a miracle. I'm not saying that. It's just that when you have walked with God as long as I have, you have to know Him. When you've had the relationship with God that I have, I know exactly what he is and is not doing in my life. I know why. It took me a long time, but I know the why, you know. And so for someone to come and say, "Oh, I'm going to pray for you a miracle," okay, that's fine. You can pray for that, you know. But don't pray because you saw God do it for somebody else that way. And I think that's something we really, really need to get into, because we think because God did it for X that way, he's going to do it for Y, and that may not be his plan for Y, you know. And so sometimes we just have to leave well enough alone and let God continue to be God, because at the truth of the matter is, you don't really know what God is doing. You don't know why it's been 11 years on this journey. You don't know why God dried up somebody else's brain tumor overnight. You don't know why. You know, everybody can't go through something like this for 11 years and still love God and still bless him and still declare that he's sovereign. Everybody can't do that, you know. You have to have a certain kind of relationship with God. Sometimes I tell him thank you that he chose me for this. And then sometimes I ask him, why did you choose me for this? You know, that would be my most honest interpretation of my emotions, how they go back and forth between thank you and why, thank you and why, you know. Either way, I know it's his doing. I know his hand is on me. You know, there's no way I could make it this far. There's no, if you know what I know, you only know what I can explain. And I can only explain as much as I understand. If you hear the medical terminology and the things they tell me, you would walk out of there crying. You really would. You would walk out of there crying for me. But today, it's tired, you know, and it's okay when you're going through something to be honest about how you feel. You know, I don't feel like, you know, uh, doing a victory chant right now. I don't want to hear praise break music. That's not how I feel. You know, I want to get in my bed and cry and go to sleep. You know, get me some cold water, get up under my covers, turn on my TV. You know, that's what I want to do because I'm tired. And it's okay if you're going through something. It's okay to be tired. Just don't give up. I always think about it like this. I've come through 11 years, and 11 years is a long time for me to come through just to give up now. Every time I start feeling like, man, this is too much. This is too much. This is too much. I start thinking about how far I've come. And sometimes I go all the way back to 2007, when they first told me that I had cancer in my brain and that I only had so long to live. They didn't even know how long I had to live. That was in 2007. And they were like, you need to get your affairs in order. You need to call your family and, you know, have a talk with your family. I was living in Huntsville, Alabama then. And they told me that I had cancer basically running through my body, had metastasized to my brain, and they couldn't give me, they couldn't pinpoint how long I had. So I asked them, years, no, months, I'm not sure, weeks possible. You know, that was a real scary time for me. And like I said, that was 2007. You do the math. So that's why I say what God did for someone else, it may not be my plan, because what he has for me is for me. The plan he has designed for me is the plan that I must walk out in this life. I can't walk out someone else's plan. I have to walk out the plan that's been laid out for me. Some may say, well, it's unfortunate that the plan for me includes this long period of suffering, but I also can look at it in a different way, so that then I'm not false accusing God of choosing me to use me, to abuse me. You understand what I'm saying? And so I have to look at it in such a way that God chose me. He didn't choose me to use me so he can abuse me. What he did choose me for, to use me for his glory, to show forth who he is in the earth, so he would have a tangible, touchable, living, breathing representation in the earth, that he is still God. He works miracles. He doesn't have to take a thing away to keep you alive. He can keep you alive with it. So that's the solace I take when I consider my path. I never look at anybody else's path. Although I enjoy hearing their testimonies or what have you, when other people are telling me about people they know that have had brain tumors and whatever, I rejoice with them, but it's just not my testimony. It's not my journey. And you have to be careful when you're going through something, whatever it may be. You have to be careful about allowing people to pull you out of your own path into a path that's not charted out for you, because you can't win in unauthorized battles. Okay, so you make sure you stay in your lane, and that's what I do. I stay in my lane. And I walk the battle. I fight the battles I'm supposed to fight. I hold my peace at times I'm supposed to hold my peace. So you have to know that, and you can't allow people to get you pulled into their battles, because their battles look a little bit easier to win. You can't get sidetracked like that, just because their battles seem easier and you want to take the easy road out. That might not be the wisest thing for you to do, because what happens if you miss some pertinent skills and things and life lessons along the way that you should have picked up if you had gone the long way around? You know what I mean? You really just have to trust God that he has your best interest at heart, that he's not taking you the long way around to hurt you. He's not doing it just to see if you can withstand the pressure. He does it because he has an ultimate plan. He has a goal. He has an expected end he wants to get you to. Now, in the interim of that, like me, the biggest thing that has hit me just now, after 11 years, is my finances, and I'm hoping God touch my GoFundMe page and you know, that builds itself up. If I can get that to build up, I can take care of everything that I owe. You know, I can even save where I live, you know, and pay up all the money, the back money I owe, and all of that. So in the meantime, what I continue to tell myself, God didn't bring me this far, not 11 years, but if you go back to 2007, I ain't that fast with numbers in my head. Y'all do that math. If you go take it back to 2007 to now, that's really how long I've been dealing with this. But they didn't find it until 2012. 2012 is when they found the actual tumor. So, and all of this is documented. So, you know, I just wanted to share that it's okay if you get tired, because today I'm tired. You know, I'm just tired. Tired. All right. Y'all be blessed.